Welcome to the podcast, Cassidy.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm so excited to be here.
Cassidy is my friend, and she's my sugaring lady.
Heck yeah.
And we're going to talk about Dorothea Puente today. We are local in Sacramento, so we have the opportunity to go look at her house and a couple other places that are included in her story after we record. So we're going to talk about her and her life and her victims and what happened. And then we're going to go visit a few places, and we'll come back and we'll talk about what we visited.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
I'm Annelise.
And I'm Cassidy.
And this is Spirit Static. So do you know anything about do you know just a brief amount of information about the story?
Barely. All I know is that it was some crazy old lady that used to live in Sacramento and murdered a bunch of people and put them in her backyard. That's the extent of what I know.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of information to tell you.
I'm excited.
I called my mom the other day, and because she lived in Sacramento at the time this was happening. So I called her to see, like, oh, do you remember anything about Dorothea? And she said she remembers it being in the news and everyone talking about it, but she didn't know any of the details really either.
When was this?
It was in like the 1980s when the main, like when she got arrested was the late 1980s.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That was like a lot more recent than I thought it was.
Pretty recent.
And it's crazy your mom was living down here when that happened.
She also was living down here when people were getting attacked by the Golden State Killer.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Ooh, you're going to have to dive down that wormhole with me another time.
Yeah, maybe that sounds like a lot of work, but also, this typically is not a true crime podcast, but because this is a local story and we get to go see the places, we're making an exception today. Okay, so the main research I did for this was watching a documentary. I watched an episode of Worst Roommate Ever, which is like a docuseries on Netflix. And the episode was called Call Me Grandma. I used a lot of other sources too, just for little details that I added in. So I'll cite all of those in the show notes, not in the episode. And then I also saw a lot of conflicting information when I looked at other sources outside of this documentary. But the documentary had a lot of like firsthand storytelling. So the actual detectives that arrested her and interviewed her and the victims' families were in this documentary too. So I'm gonna go off the information in this documentary just because it was people close to the story that were in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's going to be very hard to tell the story in chronological order just because of the way she got caught and the way the events unfolded.
Okay.
So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit. If it's not making sense, let me know so I can like try to explain where we're at because there were so many victims and like so many different parts of the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're going to start off in the fall of 1988 when social worker Judy Moises became concerned about the whereabouts of one of her clients, Bert Montoya, after setting him up in a local boarding house in Sacramento, California.
She set him up in the house. The social worker did.
Yes.
Wow.
Bert was a 52-year-old Costa Rican man who had come to the U.S. with his family when he was 16. And around the time they arrived in the U.S., Bert started having symptoms of schizophrenia. So his family decided it would be best for him to go into a mental institution. And after his time in the institution, it seems that he kind of lost connection with his family, or maybe they kind of abandoned him in the institution, not really sure. And then he somehow made his way over to Sacramento where he was homeless.
Okay, so the institution, okay.
Yeah, so he got out of there and then he ended up on the streets. You know, a lot of unhoused people have mental health issues.
Yeah.
He didn't have any substance abuse problems. It was just like schizophrenia.
That's really sad.
Yeah, really, really sad. So despite having no problems with substance abuse, Bert ended up at a detox center in Sacramento where he was helped by social workers. And I think he was at the detox center just because he felt comfortable there and he liked that detox center and they did help him out. The detox center had been hearing about a local woman in Sacramento, Dorothea Puente, who housed and cared for vulnerable people, including those who had mental health problems or substance use disorders. They even had a reference from one of the clients in Dorothea's house, John Sharp, who vouched for how good things were at the time. So the social worker did her research. She got a reference from one of the people living there. Dorothea had a great reputation in the area for taking care of her residents at her home.
Oh, that's awful. So she preyed on vulnerable people.
She did.
Wow.
She did. So Judy had set Bert up to move into Dorothea's boarding house in early 1988. And in the documentary, when Judy is talking about Bert and describing him, it shows this like montage of Bert, and he looks so sweet. He's just like this Hispanic man with this big white bushy beard, and he's smiling and he's
Aw.
waving at the camera, and he just looked so sweet. His real name was Alvaro Gonzalez Montoya, but he went by Bert.
He was probably honestly excited to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah. I want to tell you a little bit more about Dorothea Puente and her reputation in the Sacramento area at this point. She was adored by the community and local politicians for her donations to charities and political campaigns.
Wow.
Yeah,
So she even donated to charities and stuff.
Yeah. Yep, and well known by political figures. So she was a well-known lady around the area. She was seen as a sweet grandmotherly figure who gave a lot of help to the community, even hosting Burrito Day every Wednesday or Thursday where she gave out free food.
We're not eating burritos tonight.
Yeah, true. The clients who stayed at her house in downtown Sacramento would live together on the bottom floor of her house while she lived on the top floor. She collected the clients' Social Security checks as payment for rent and in exchange for free meals and care she gave them.
Oh, wow.
So she was collecting their Social Security checks. To the public, Dorothea claimed that she was independently wealthy and took care of her residents out of the goodness of her heart.
Oh, so she claimed she wasn't making a profit.
After Bert moved into Dorothea's house, Judy would call the house periodically to check up on Bert, and it seemed like he was enjoying living there and making friends in the house. But a few months in, when Judy did her normal check-in call, Dorothea told her that Bert was in Mexico with family. She claimed there was a fiesta, which this whole thing of him being in Mexico is pretty odd to me because, first of all, he's Costa Rican, but this is what she claimed.
And especially with schizophrenia, right? I mean, him traveling and having mental health issues, like that's, why would she think he was just up and traveling? Or
Right.
like say that.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense.
No. Judy immediately had a feeling in her gut that something wasn't right. You know, we all get that feeling when you just know deep down, that's a little odd.
Yeah.
Something's not right here. And Judy was on it. Judy is one of the MVPs in the story. She's one of them. And then also remember the name John Sharp from the beginning, who was the resident who was vouching for the home too. He'll come back into play a few times in the story.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, she knew something wasn't right. At first, Dorothea claimed that Bert would be back on Friday. But then when Judy called back on Friday, Dorothea then said he would maybe be back next week.
Weird.
So, like, what does she think is going to happen? I think she was kind of banking on, oh, the social worker's not really going to care that much to follow up. He's kind of this is going to fly under the radar and no one's going to check up on him. And these are the kind of victims that she would try to prey on, were people that didn't have people to keep track of them or check up on them. And so it just seems like she thought she was going to get away with this and that people would just let it be and not ask more questions. But she was wrong. Judy was doing her job.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Judy said that if he isn't back by Monday, she's going to call the police to report a missing person. When Judy got to her office on Monday morning, she received a phone call from a man named Don Anthony. This was a guy that was also living at the house, and Dorothea had asked him to pose as Bert's brother-in-law. And he called Judy. He said that Bert had returned from Mexico, but was no longer at the house, and his family had come and picked him up. But Don Anthony accidentally used his own name, which was Don Anthony, instead of using a fake name, which he was supposed to do.
Oh, no.
And Judy picked up on that, and she also just picked up on like the whole situation being not right. She knew something was wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially because he left his family behind initially when he came over here when he
Mhm.
was younger.
Mhm.
So that story doesn't add up from the get-go.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, the math isn't mathing here,
Yeah.
so she's a dumbass bitch. Judy then got in contact with the previously mentioned resident, John Sharp, and John told her that Bert was gone, but nobody had gone to Mexico. Judy asked if there was something wrong in the house, and he said yes, there was something wrong going on in the house.
Mm.
John said, quote, "She's been digging a lot of holes," unquote.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Could you
Mhm.
imagine being told that?
No, I
Like,
would
as a social worker, like, what like, I wouldn't even know what to do.
no, my jaw would be on the floor.
I'd be running out the door, but on the same time, I'd be like, "Okay, everybody round up, let's go." Like,
Yeah.
everybody out.
Yeah. Rally the troops.
And isn't she supposed to be an old lady, like, digging holes?
See, that's part of the story too that we'll come back to a bit later because there are things that I'm wondering how she would have done without help from other people. So,
Yeah.
so after she gets this information from John, Judy alerted the police and reported Bert missing. She was persistent that the officers take a shovel along with them after hearing about the holes that Dorothea was digging. So she told the officers that. She said, "You guys should bring a shovel with you."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Detective John Cabrera and partner Terry Brown went to the F Street house to take a missing persons report for her, or for Bert. Everyone in the house had the same story that Bert had left with his family. However, one of the boarders, John Sharp, shout out John Sharp, slipped the officer a note. And the note read, quote, "She wants me to lie to you," end quote.
Oh, no.
Hmm.
Poor guy.
Hmm.
The courage it must have taken for him to come forward and, like, slip a note. I
Yeah.
mean, they all must have been really scared, I'm assuming.
Yeah. And also, I saw some conflicting information about him potentially being like a suspect early on. It didn't say
Mm,
anything about that in the documentary, though. So I'm just going to go off of like he's the MVP.
okay.
Not like
Yep.
because I was confused with that information.
Yeah, I mean, they might have looked into him because he was the only one, like, letting them know, "Hey, something else is going on."
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's interesting, there's conflicting information on that.
Yeah. Probably was scary for him because he's living with the murderer.
Yeah?
So, and he knows that something's not right. I guess he had also worked in a mortuary and he recognized the smell of death
Oh,
too.
that's awful.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
The documentary shows a clip of John Sharp in an interrogation room where they're like asking him more questions. And John said that he didn't know exactly what happened, but knew Dorothea was lying. And according to him, Dorothea said, quote, "John, I'm going to ask for you to lie for me today. I think I'm going to jail. I want you to tell them that I was gone Thursday and Friday and that you saw Bert on Saturday." John hadn't seen him in 2 months.
Oh my gosh.
2 months.
Wow, she really took advantage of these people.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Yeah. And just wait, it gets worse and worse. It's like actually really fucked. And she told him, "I'll make it worth your while."
Mm.
Whatever that means. When officers searched her name, so this is all happening in the time period of she's getting caught. And the officers searched her name in the system and they realized, they found out that she was on federal parole.
Wait a minute, this old lady was on federal parole?
Yeah.
So prior to the incidences with this.
Mhm.
Holy smokes.
Mhm.
What for?
She was on parole for drugging people and stealing from them, and she had previously done prison time.
Okay, so how old was Dorothea when this happened initially, when they discovered her at the house and
Um,
things were kinda sus? Yeah, because that tells me, I mean, she has a long history.
she sure does.
She's like a convict for life.
Yeah. No, she's incredibly twisted.
To be like a little old lady, though, and be like that manipulative, and then to have a history and continue?
It's insanity.
Wow.
We usually hear about, obviously, most serial killers that we know of are men, and so it's so crazy to hear about
A
this
woman.
woman doing this crazy, crazy stuff.
And so far, the stories that we're on are all men that she was manipulating. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. There are her victims end up being both women and men too.
Wow.
She was, oh my God, I didn't even realize this. She was 59 when she was arrested. So I'm thinking about a 59-year-old, and my mom is getting closer and closer to that age. I think Dorothea played up her appearance to look like older than she was, because when you see videos and pictures of her, she has like the gray curly hair and dresses
Yeah.
like a grandma. And 59 to me isn't that.
That old in
Yeah,
the midst of
actually, yeah,
things.
that's not as old as I thought it was gonna say.
But that means she was like, that's how good she was.
Mhm.
To try to portray an innocent, old, unable woman,
Mhm.
that is insane.
Mhm. Super, super crazy. I'm so glad that you don't know anything about the story, because it's so fun to tell you
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah, this is totally all a surprise for me. I did not research it prior because I was like, nope, I'm going to learn a lot today. Wow.
Before we continue with the day in 1988 where she gets caught, we're now going to jump to some of these crimes on her record that I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah, I want to know this.
Yeah, and there's a lot to get into, so if it gets confusing, just let me know.
Okay.
And then after we talk about this, we're gonna jump back to this day where she's getting caught and the whole story with Bert and Judy and everything.
Okay, where it's all unfolding.
Yes. Dorothea's first crimes were in Southern California. In 1948, she was convicted of felony forgery for writing a bad check, or like a falsified check. In the 1950s, she worked as a prostitute in Sacramento and then became the manager of a brothel.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so she herself had a rough background to
Yeah.
begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And
Yeah.
money is the main drive, it sounds like.
Well, yeah, but we'll talk a little bit about that later too. We'll get back into that, the whole
Yeah.
motive situation. And then in 1960, she was arrested for the prostitution and being the manager of the brothel, and she was sent to jail for a short period of time. When Dorothea got out of jail, she went on to commit some far more heinous crimes in the early 1980s. She frequented a bar in Sacramento called Zebra Club, which we can absolutely go to.
Wait, is it still there today?
Yeah.
No way.
It has a neon sign that says open till 6 a.m. I drive past it all the time.
That's crazy that it's
Mhm.
still here. Yes, we gotta check this out.
Yeah, all the places in this story are still around, so.
She frequented the bar. That's crazy.
One night, she hit it off with a man named Malcolm McKenzie at this bar, and they had a couple drinks together. Malcolm took Dorothea home with him, but once they got back to his house, he started feeling off, like something was wrong.
Oh, no.
He laid down and felt his body become paralyzed while he was still completely conscious.
You're kidding.
Mhm.
Was she with him when he went home?
He watched Dorothea go through his belongings, take coins, and pull a ring off his hand while he lay there helpless.
Wait, a ring on his hand. Maybe he deserved this one.
So true. At this point in time, I feel like men didn't typically wear like a lot of rings for style like they do now. So maybe it
Yeah.
was a wedding ring. I don't know. Dorothea had clearly drugged him. A few hours later, when the drugs wore off, he reported the incident to police right away, as soon as he could. While investigating the incident, police found that she had also been taking advantage of multiple elderly women in the community.
That's so sad.
She would pass herself off as a doctor or nurse that could like go around and help people and tend to them in their home. She even carried around a medical bag.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
She gave the victims some kind of stupefying drug, just like this guy, and she stole jewelry, coins, and checks. All of her quote unquote patients were reporting the same symptoms and types of items going missing. She eventually went on to plead guilty. So she got caught. She went on to plead guilty to 5 felonies and was sentenced to 5 years in state prison.
So she took advantage of so many people
So many
and
people.
just robbed them and got away with it for a while until she got caught.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to portray a doctor or a nurse, like, like that you can't just do that. That's the fact that, she has to have been like really believable, which is the part that just totally gets me.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, I feel like I'm pretty good at reading vibes with people,
Mm-hmm.
but it sounds like she was convincing enough to convince many, many people.
Yeah.
And of all different spectrums.
Yeah. Isn't that scary?
It's really scary because it makes you think about who you're communicating with on a daily basis.
Yeah, you don't know your neighbor.
Yeah.
You don't know your own grandma.
Totally. I know
I'm just
grandma.
kidding. Watch out for those grandmas.
Well, it makes you wonder too. I mean, it makes sense with these victims because they needed medication, and so she was giving them medication. So that's how she was able to drug them. But I mean, the guy at the bar maybe slipped it into his drink.
Yeah. I
That's
would
pretty
assume,
crazy.
yeah, she slipped something into his drink.
Wow.
Yeah. She ended up serving her prison time for just 3 years from 1982 to 1985, and then she was released on parole.
They let her off.
They let her off on parole.
I hear this too often.
No, it's really scary
It
because
is.
there are so many crazy, crazy people that get let out on parole, and then they do go on to do
Worse stuff.
worse stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very scary. Our system is very broken.
Yeah. No kidding.
During those 3 years while Dorothea was in prison, prosecutor William Wood received he was the one that was, I guess he's just one of the prosecutors for the state.
Okay.
But William Wood, he received a phone call out of the blue, this was while she was in prison, from a man named Bill Monroe. Bill explained that he believed Dorothea had poisoned and killed his mother, Ruth Monroe. So I guess he caught wind of her crimes or what was going on, and he was like, "Wait a second, my she."
His mom was in her care or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, like he's making this connection.
Oh, no.
After she was arrested and everything. Bill tells his mother's story to the detective, William Wood, as follows. Ruth met so his mom is Ruth. This is the victim that we're talking about, Ruth Monroe. Ruth met Dorothea Puente through her partner, Harold. Dorothea and Harold had been working together at a dive bar called the Flame Club, which is still around.
My gosh.
Still around. I looked it up. I haven't been there.
So that's in Sacramento too?
Yep. We can
Holy
drive by
smokes.
all these places.
Yeah, we have to. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Harold introduced Ruth and Dorothea, and they became besties. Ruth and Dorothea.
Wow.
Yeah,
So Ruth was not one of Dorothea's patients or under
N
her care. She was
no.
just a friend.
She was a friend. They started out as good friends. They just met through this mutual guy and became friends.
Wow.
They were so close that Dorothea told Ruth's son to start calling her grandma.
My
So, yeah,
gosh.
they were very close. Dorothea and Ruth went on to open a small restaurant together, or at least like the back kitchen in this bar called Round Corner Tavern, which we can also go to, which I pass by all the time.
It's not still called that, I'm
It
assuming.
is.
It
It
is?
is. It's still
Okay.
Round Corner Tavern. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is pretty nuts.
I might have actually been in there. Let me look up really quick where the location is because I have a feeling it's funny, it just came up when I opened my
I have to say you did a whole lot of research for
yeah,
this.
I did. Yeah, I've been into Round Corner Tavern because I
Holy
actually
smokes.
used to live 2 blocks away, so me and my roommates would walk down to Round Corner Tavern.
How trippy.
They have like $3 beers or something. Isn't that crazy?
That is really nuts.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
The
And I
fact that
I
this is
had no
all still
idea.
Yeah, here you are going to the bar where a murderer probably once sat in that chair.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty nuts.
I had no idea. I, like, lived, like, it's just right
Like,
down the street, and the vibes are weird. The energy is weird around there. Yeah,
interesting.
we'll stop by and you can see it.
So, to clarify, it was partially owned by her.
They opened I guess there was, like, a kitchen in it that they opened.
Oh, it was a kitchen in it.
Yeah.
Okay. Weird. I mean, she really must have been coming off as a very trustworthy person.
Yep. She's like, "Let's open a business together." Then Dorothea claimed that the restaurant wasn't making much money and kept asking Ruth to invest more and more money into it over time. She was like,
Mm,
"Oh, it's not enough. Can you invest more?" And Ruth did that. She believed her. She was like, "Okay," kept giving her more and more money.
that's so sad. It makes me wonder if she preyed on Ruth to begin with because maybe Ruth was wealthier or had more means.
Yeah. Or I don't even know, honestly. And this is all according to Ruth's son. So hopefully this is the most accurate information. They remained close friends, and Ruth ended up moving into Dorothea's house after her husband passed away from cancer because she didn't want to live alone. So she's like, "Oh, I'll just move in with you."
And they're best friends, so
Mm,
why not?
right, exactly. I hope my best
Mm,
friend will do that to me
I
whenever my partner
know.
dies.
Yeah.
So while she was living at Dorothea's house, Bill Monroe, her son, stopped by to see his mother every single day after work. He said that everything was completely normal up until the 3 last days of Ruth's life.
Interesting.
So things just all like everything was normal, and then the last 3 days of Ruth's life is all of a sudden something changed. The 3 days before Ruth died, Bill noticed her drinking something that was kind of strange looking, and he was saying that Ruth didn't typically drink alcohol or anything like that. Ruth told him that it was creme de menthe, which I'm not sure what that is.
That's weird. That even sounds creepy. Like creme de meth is
Yeah.
what I hear.
Right?
You want cream meth?
That does sound hella creepy.
Creme de meth.
Creme de menthe. And she said Dorothea made it for her to calm her nerves. The next day, he returned. Dorothea told him that his mom was sleeping and not feeling well. So she was kind of, I think, encouraging him not to just leave and let her rest. And he, I think, kind of had a weird feeling, and he insisted on seeing Ruth and making sure he laid eyes on her. So he goes up to see his mom, and he described her as having her eyes open but not moving.
Oh my gosh.
She's in bed, and tears were streaming down her face.
That's heartbreaking. Wow.
And then at 6 a.m. the next morning, Bill gets a phone call that Ruth had died.
Oh my gosh, it just like my mind's going back to that other story that you just shared where the other guy got like date rape drug
Yeah.
basically and he laid with his eyes open watching her rob him, but he couldn't do anything about it because he was paralyzed.
Yeah.
And so part of me is wondering if that's what his mom was going through.
Yeah.
And as she was laying there, she couldn't speak, but she was crying because she wanted to ask for help and she couldn't.
Exactly.
That is heartbreaking.
Isn't that so sad?
That is really crazy.
Being like paralyzed but conscious
Yeah.
would be just absolutely horrific.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She was 61.
Wow, so she was young in the
Mhm.
midst of things.
Yeah.
Did they say what she technically died from, like what the autopsy said?
Yes, the autopsy found toxic levels of multiple medications in her system, including massive amounts of codeine.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, and then there were a list of so many drugs that Dorothea would use. So I didn't even write them down because there were so
Oh.
many different ones.
It makes you wonder how she got a hold of all of those drugs.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from her being a prostitute back in the day, she probably had some, like, pimps she worked with too, you know, like
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Mhm.
Like, this little old lady walking down the street and being like, "Hey, I need some more."
Mhm.
Slip 'em some money under the table.
It seemed like a lot of the drugs were like sleeping pills or like drugs that people actually would get prescribed. There's one called Dalmane, which I don't really know much about. That was one of the ones that she used a lot, but I really don't know how she got her hands on all that stuff.
Yeah, and then my mind keeps going, well, was anybody else a part of this?
Yeah. I kind of wonder if some of and I didn't research this, so there may be a bunch of information that I just didn't see in research. It could have been that maybe some of the residents had prescriptions and she would keep filling their prescriptions and then like somehow like collect a bunch and then,
Mix them
Yeah.
and distribute them differently.
Yeah.
Mm.
Exactly. So when Bill came to go get Ruth's stuff, his mom's stuff from Dorothea, she handed him an empty purse that had previously had valuables in it, including jewelry and money.
Wow.
And Dorothea had called the coroner and claimed that Ruth had killed herself.
Odd.
Yeah.
Very odd.
In the documentary, we then see William Wood, the prosecutor, and he's talking about this whole situation. And he's saying that it seems like Dorothea had drained the bank account that she and Ruth shared as business partners and then killed Ruth. However, there was not enough evidence at the time to prove that it was not a suicide because forensic science, I guess, wasn't as developed and they couldn't prove that it wasn't a suicide at the time.
So the son came forward right away when it happened or when she passed and said, hey, something's not right here. And
I don't think he came forward right away. He came forward while Dorothea was serving prison time.
Wow, so
Mhm.
he waited then.
I think maybe he didn't realize that something was so amiss.
Like he didn't connect the dots.
Maybe he didn't connect the dots until Dorothea was in prison and he heard about like what had been going on.
That's right. I mean, he was calling her grandma,
Yeah.
so maybe he just, his mind wouldn't even go there to think
Mhm.
of that until she'd been convicted. Then he was
Yeah.
like, "Wait a minute."
Convicted of drugging people.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he's like,
Wow.
"Oh, shit. She killed my mom." So that's kind of that story about Ruth. And then in 1985, Dorothea was released from prison. After she got out of prison, she realized she could not get away with going to other people's homes to take care of them. So she started taking residence at her own home on F Street, which is the house that we're going to go to today. Keep in mind, when she got out of prison, part of her parole was that she was not legally allowed to have anything to do with caregiving for others.
I was just gonna ask you that
Mhm.
question because in my mind, I was like, "Well, if you have a history of that, how could you be allowed?"
Yeah, she wasn't allowed.
Wow.
She was not allowed. She did it anyways, and government officials or social services or her parole officer would periodically stop by to keep tabs or check in on her. But I guess she just knew all the right things to say to make sure they weren't suspicious. Like, she was somehow flying under the radar
Wow.
despite being checked on. And then another part that kind of complicates this is that she was married 4 different times, and she had at least 3 different last names throughout her life, and so it made it a little bit harder to keep track of her in the official criminal systems just because of her different names.
Was she ever married at any point during these crimes that we're discussing?
I am not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. But that I could see how someone could fly under the radar by using different last names, and
Mhm.
the only thing is she was such a proud member in the community holding these special burrito nights
Yeah.
and so forth that it's bizarre to me that I mean, maybe it wasn't well known that she had been incarcerated.
I guess it wasn't well known because I'm thinking about how when she gets caught in 1988, like, the officers didn't necessarily know her background until they looked her up in the system and realized, "Oh, shit, this is this lady that was in prison."
Yeah, this is a felon, but
Yeah.
that looks like a little old lady.
Yeah. It's really, really crazy. So, she got away with 2.5 years of caregiving and stealing from vulnerable people without anyone knowing what was going on.
That's really sad.
Yeah.
She was a nut job.
Nut job. So crazy. Now we're gonna flash back forward to 1988. We're talking about Bert's story in the beginning and Judy, the social worker. Do you remember all that stuff?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. Not confusing, not too
Nope.
confusing. Okay, perfect. Because I think I've listened to some podcasts about this case, which is how I knew about it. And I remember getting a little bit confused just because there were so many different victims and so much going on. So I'm trying to keep it like,
That makes sense.
make it make sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is back to the day where she gets caught. The officers are looking for Bert. When the officer and parole officer showed up to her house on F Street, she said she was expecting them.
Weird. She said she was expecting the
Yeah, because I think
officers.
she knew that Judy was going to call and report him missing.
Mm.
She claimed that Bert left with his family and she was at church when he left.
My gosh, she even claimed that she was going to church. She's crazy. Like,
Yeah. There were
oh my
also
gosh.
clips in this documentary of her like fostering kittens, doing all this
Oh my
sweet
gosh.
stuff.
Makes you wonder if she ever like hurt kittens or anything. Like, not to be off topic, but have you ever seen that movie or that documentary, Don't Fuck with Cats?
You told me about it and I've heard about it and I'm like a little bit scared to watch it. I feel like it'll make me sad and grossed
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. It was pretty twisted.
Yeah, but I think a lot of psychopaths or murderers or people that have that kind of
Tendency.
tendency, they do often harm animals too, sometimes as like a precursor to hurting people or whatever.
I think that's insane. It's like I can't even fathom.
Yeah, really, really sad. They
Yeah.
just view humans as like a bigger animal. I feel like that's kind of
Yeah.
the
Like they don't look at humans as like humans.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really bizarre.
That's how they like justify it in their mind or something.
Mhm. I don't know. I'm like, I don't understand.
Ew.
I don't wanna
Like
understand.
the psychology aspect, it's pretty trippy.
Yeah. Okay, so Detective John Cabrera, he's also in this documentary talking about this firsthand. So was William Wood, was another officer in the documentary. It was really cool to listen to them talk about it because they were there and they were investigating this.
I can imagine being like on the case
Yeah.
during this time.
Yeah, really crazy. So John Cabrera asked Dorothea, what kind of thing are you running in your house? And he said that she looked over to the parole officer and said, quote, Jim, I'm in violation of my parole, end quote.
Wow. But was she maybe just alluding, because she already knew she was gonna get in trouble, but
Mhm.
maybe she was like, "Okay, maybe I can just take the fall for, like, taking care of people
Yeah.
instead of, like, maybe if I can"
Murdering.
yeah, murdering. Exactly. Oh my gosh.
So she knew she was gonna get in trouble. They asked for permission to search the premises, and she gave them permission. She didn't put up a big fight or anything, she just gave them permission. She said, "Go ahead." And they went through her house, they found blue pills, they found capsules and medication for people with sleeping disorders, is what they said in
Hmm.
the documentary. Before they left, they asked for permission to dig in her yard, and they had brought a shovel. Like
Oh.
Judy suggested they had. And Dorothea asked them why, and they were like, "Oh, we just wanna make sure everything's okay." They kind of, like, made some reason why, and she gave them permission.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy, like, she was trying to be so nonchalant about
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows, though, like, how good she was at manipulating people,
Yeah.
where she yeah, she was that confident.
Yeah, and she
Wow.
gave them permission to do all this, and, well, I think it's kind of part of her plan, which you'll see unfold soon. But she there's actually video footage of them starting this dig in her backyard and video footage of her watching and whatnot, and she was watching from the second floor balcony while they were started to dig in her backyard to see if they could find anything suspicious.
That's so eerie.
Yeah. And this
Ew.
is what they started finding. They found some pieces of pink cloth. They found what the detective was describing as beef jerky or leathery pieces,
Oh
which ended up
gosh.
being human flesh.
Ugh.
They found a femur bone, and they started finding other skeletal body parts.
Dude. Could you imagine, like, your everyday job is, like
No.
right, like, you don't get murders on an everyday basis,
Yeah.
but, like, going in someone's backyard with a shovel,
Yeah.
and you're hoping that you don't find anything, and then next thing you know, you're, like, digging up bones and flesh?
Mhm.
That's crazy.
So crazy. There's then
Beef jerky.
so gross.
Ah.
And then there's kind of a little clip of Dorothea in the interrogation room. I love when there's clips on like either Dateline or whatever of the interrogation. I love
Me
watching it. It's
too.
so fascinating.
'Cause then you can really get an idea of, like, how they were able to convince people things and just, like, the way they spoke.
Yeah, their demeanor.
What was her demeanor?
She was denying everything.
Was she, like, very just, like, chill about it? Like, just talk like this right now? Or is she, like
Yeah, so the officer that was interviewing her said that she was emotionless. She looked him in the eyes and she answered every question.
wow, did she have, like, this little old lady voice? Or
She sounded like any other old lady, but in this clip, it was so crazy to see her in this interrogation room because she had this cute little granny outfit on. It was a navy blue dress with white polka dots. She had her little gray curly cloud hair. She looked like just like the sweetest, cutest little granny. It was so
she, like,
crazy.
purposely dressed up for, like, when they'd come to,
Yeah.
like, or, like, arrest her. Like, that's
It
insane.
was so, so crazy, her little outfit. I was like,
Wow.
holy shit.
Little polka dot dress.
Yeah. So she just denied it and said she had no idea why that stuff would be in her backyard, and she never flinched.
So she still kept denying
She
it.
just kept denying it. The crime team comes back to do more digging in her backyard, obviously. And while this is happening, Dorothea asked one of the detectives, "Am I being arrested?" And in that moment, they had to say no because they didn't have anything like, concrete that they could arrest her for yet. For all they knew, I guess it could be that she didn't know that someone had buried a bunch of people in her backyard. They
Right.
couldn't arrest her quite yet. I think that this was still when they were finding just the one body. They were still digging up the first one.
They probably had no means to tie her to the crime, or even if it was a crime, it could have been anything buried there. They didn't
Yes.
quite know if it was a full-blown human yet or
Yeah.
not,
Yeah, and they
or
also
who it was.
they didn't know what was coming. They didn't know what was coming to
Yeah.
them.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
they said no, and she said, "I'd like to go get a cup of coffee down the street." She was like, "Can I go get some coffee then?"
While they're digging it in
Yeah,
her backyard.
yeah. She's like, "If I'm not gonna be arrested, can I go get some coffee?"
That's insane.
Mhm. And while they said yes, because technically they couldn't hold her there. So while Dorothea's getting her cup of coffee, they start finding a second body,
And
and
meanwhile, she's apparently getting coffee by foot
Ye
or go
yes,
just
by foot, and then she used that opportunity to flee the scene, so they realized that her going to get a cup of coffee, she actually decided to go on the run.
Oh my gosh.
So I think she was so willing to be like, "Oh, yeah, sure, you can search my property," just because she knew she was gonna plan to try to run off, and they put out
Mm.
a bolo, like a be on the lookout for this lady. Meanwhile, they're uncovering more and more bodies. They found 7 bodies
7?
buried in her backyard. 7.
That's insane.
Insane.
Oh my gosh.
Most of them were in the fetal position, and the bodies were wrapped in blankets and plastic. The 3rd body that they found was burnt.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
The crazier part about it is, like, how heavy a body is.
Yeah.
Because this woman that's portraying this little old lady, I mean, even just, like, if it was somebody in their 20s that
Yeah.
was a woman, even lifting weights, it's still a heavy thing to
Yeah.
have to carry a body
Yeah.
and dig a deep enough hole to bury it in and cover it up. I mean, the fact that she did this without any accomplice is crazy.
Right. So I was thinking to myself, like, how the hell could this lady move all of these bodies down to the backyard and bury them all by herself? But it seems like she had people doing yard work and stuff for her house and whatnot, and she would have other people dig holes for her, I guess unknowingly.
My gosh, like the gardeners, like,
Yeah, like,
"Hey."
she would have people like that, or it's also another theory of, like, maybe her sometimes using tenants to help her move maybe a big coffin with someone
Oh.
in it, or move the bodies down, but they were never able to prove any, like, accomplices, but she had to have had assistance in doing all this, there's no way.
Totally, and who knows what she said to these tenants to make them live in fear,
Mhm,
to make them work with her.
mhm,
So, that's
mhm.
really crazy.
Yeah, really scary. It's just so sad. A lot of these residents were people in vulnerable situations or, people that maybe didn't have people that were keeping tabs on them. So she just really, really, really took advantage of them.
Totally, and to think of, like, those that maybe have struggled with mental health,
Mhm.
maybe she can try to convince them, "That didn't happen, you're just imagining that."
Yeah.
Or, like, who knows the level of mind games she
Yeah.
played
Oh,
with these
like, you
people?
hallucinated me
Yeah.
bringing that body down to the backyard.
Totally, or,
Yeah.
like, played it off like, "Oh, they just died in their sleep," but, like, you didn't envision them burying in my backyard, that's
Yeah.
just all in your head,
Yeah.
like or you didn't see that.
Mhm.
Wow.
She's very evil. Also, during their search on the second floor, so Dorothy was, I believe, she was on the top. Her residents were on the bottom. I don't know which one they mean by second floor, but I think it means the top. But it says on the second floor, adjacent to the kitchen, there was a room and it had 2 carpets, which was kind of weird. And one of the detectives pulled up the first carpet and he said, of course, he was hit with that terrible smell and there was putrefied body fluid under the first layer
Oh,
all over the carpet.
gross. So she was living with
Yeah,
this.
she had a room for the dead bodies where she would, I guess, prepare them. They also found this tub of lye, Lye, which I had never heard of before.
Never heard of it.
And I guess it's used in soap making, it's in some cleaning products, and it's highly corrosive. I feel like it's probably something she used to maybe start breaking down the bodies or
Ugh.
yeah.
Like, how do you, like, live with that? Like, for one, the unsanitary just environment and the smell, but 2, nightmares, right? Like, wouldn't you be like, "Dude, I'm gonna be haunted by these
Yeah.
people. They're gonna be angry spirits living in my house?"
Mhm.
That's insane.
Yeah, just scary and just disgusting to have this
Yeah.
old lady had a murder room. She had a murder room, like, that's just so crazy.
Like, that she was living in the same house, that was her murder room.
Mhm.
That's Was she on any mental health medication herself? Or
I am not sure. She should have been.
Yeah, clearly. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Shortly after she went on the run, someone recognized her at a neighborhood bar in LA and called the police, and so they flew down to LA to arrest her.
So she took off from
Uh-huh.
Sacramento and
Made
ended
it
up
to
in
LA.
LA.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm, and then someone called it in. And there's video footage of her getting arrested. She's in this, like, velvet red coat, looking all just, like, cute granny-like. It's just so crazy.
Oh,
So
I can't
wild.
wait to see these videos and pictures.
I guess she told one of the detectives, quote, "I used to be a very good person at one time," unquote, which, what the fuck? No, you were never a good person, lady.
Oh.
Also, they said somewhere, it was either in the documentary or one of the articles I read, says she gained $100,000 in total from victims, but that's nothing.
No.
$100,000 for killing at least 7 people?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so to me, it's like the whole motive part of this, I'm like, if money was your motive, that just can't be the case because I just don't understand how that would be worth it, and it just makes me think even
Mhm.
more how psychologically fucked up this lady is. It had to do with, like, I think power
Yeah, yeah.
and being well known in the community and whatever, but, I mean, obviously, I can't understand her mind, neither of us could, but
That is really insane, though, that
yeah.
only $100,000 was it
Mhm.
throughout how many years did this take place over?
This was over she got out of prison in 1985, and then she got caught for this in 1988,
That's crazy. That's
within these 3 years.
yeah, that's really not enough money to even, like, you'd think that she'd be rolling in dough,
Right.
right? Like, to even run a house to feed people and stuff too, at some point, she had to be taking out of that and then also buying the medications to drug these people
Mhm.
with. So, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
Just got off on, like, murdering.
exactly,
Ew.
exactly. So disgusting. Spending time with those bodies in that little room, like, that's just so ugh.
Even worse too, though, most murderers don't get to know their victims really well before killing them. This woman got to know them. She lived with them.
Mhm.
How can you just get to the point of doing that
Yeah.
after getting to know someone's story, getting to know them? Like, that's just crazy to me.
Even her best friend, Ruth,
Yeah.
like, what? That's just it's so twisted and so dark.
Well, makes me want to know her childhood. Not that anything she did was justified, but like,
Yeah,
how did she end up so twisted?
right. I didn't look that up, but that would be interesting actually
Mm-hmm.
to look up. So, while all this is going on, something else comes to light. And I think there was a lot going on in the news. Obviously, there was a bolo for her. They were looking for her. And, the news is filming detectives digging her backyard. All this stuff is happening. And while this is all going on, a man named, or sorry, there's this guy, Everson Gilmith, and Everson had a pen pal relationship with Dorothea while she was in prison. And she was in prison for drugging people and stealing from them.
Weird.
And they started a romantic pen pal relationship. I don't understand the people who are pen pals with people in prison and do that kind of stuff. Like, it's
Totally.
so, so crazy to me. But his family called the detectives when all this was coming to light because he had gone missing.
My gosh, the pen pal.
Yeah. So also, when she got out of prison, Everson had moved in with her as her love interest or her partner.
Hmm?
So he was living with her for a bit, and the family stopped hearing from him, which was weird. And I guess Dorothea had been sending postcards to his sister for months, like reassuring her that everything was okay.
That's crazy.
When really he was missing, he was dead. So this is all coming to light. They're realizing, oh, maybe we should call about our family member, Everson. And then it turns out, so a neighboring county, Sutter County, they had found a body in 1986 and it was wrapped in a similar fashion to Dorothea's other victims.
Ooh, she had, like, a way of wrapping them.
Yeah. It was similar to the bodies they found in her backyard, and this was Everson Gilmith.
Oh my gosh.
She had dumped him in a box near the river. And I'm sure she had help dumping the box. I don't know
Yeah, how do you
how
do
she
that?
got someone to help her do this, but
Well, and also going back to just how she was in the prostitution ring or
yeah.
long before, I mean, she probably had some weird
Yeah.
contacts involved,
Yeah.
and with the
Sketchy
drugs,
people.
sketchy people.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though.
Yeah. So he was another one of her victims, it is presumed. She was charged with 9 counts of first-degree murder. and she was only convicted of 3.
What? How?
I guess the jury was sure about 3 of the victims, but they were deadlocked on 6 of the other victims. I think there was maybe one guy that was thinking like, "Oh, well, there's still reasonable doubt that she didn't that maybe some of them weren't victims and they died of natural causes or whatever she claimed." So she only was convicted of 3.
And did she I'm surprised she didn't own up to all the victims, though, after being convicted of the 3.
To this day, she denies it.
You're kidding.
To this day. Or
Did she
actually,
s
no, not to this day 'cause she's dead, but to the date of her death, she denied it.
did she say that, like, was she blaming someone else this whole time? Or
So what happened was she claimed that they died in their sleep and she buried them, and she didn't wanna call the police because she was on parole, so she was worried she would get in trouble, but she claimed that they all just died in their sleep, even though they all were found with
wow.
massive amounts of drugs in their system, like overdoses. Yeah. She admitted to cashing their checks and, like, stealing their money, but she never admitted to murdering any of them.
That's just crazy, though. She did all this, she took their money. She didn't even make that much money
Yeah.
and didn't pretty much got away with it. I
Yeah.
mean, only accounted for 3 people?
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's very, very sad. And in our story, we talked about a few of the victims. She was not convicted of the murder of Everson Gilmith, Bert Montoya, or Ruth Monroe. She was not convicted of those.
Wow. And Ruth's son came forward and even said, "Hey, something's not right here."
Mhm.
And they still didn't.
They just weren't able to prove it.
Wow.
Yeah. I guess she also had been giving clothing of her victims to charities.
That's creepy. Could you imagine receiving, like, a piece of clothing from a charity
No.
and wearing a shirt and not realizing that was, like, somebody that was, like, murdered? It's their shirt.
Yeah. Ew.
Ooh. Yeah.
Thinking about it now, thinking about thrifting and all that stuff, because I
Yeah.
do that. I go to Goodwill or I thrift stuff all the time. It's kind of creepy to think about. You
It
never
is
know.
creepy to think about.
You don't know what kinds of energies are attached to things you're getting from
100%.
antique stores, thrift stores, whatever.
And I love antiquing, and I'll tell you that it's kind of interesting, though, because, yeah, that's a thing, you
Yeah.
know?
It is a thing. So that is kind of the end of the story that I'm going to tell you. There's so many other details of it that we could talk about, of course, but there's just so much information.
Yeah.
So for the end of this part of the episode, I'm going to name all of the victims. There was Leona Carpenter, who was 78, 64-year-old Army veteran Dorothy Miller,
Army vet. Oh,
55-year-old Benjamin Fink, 62-year-old James Gallup, who had survived a heart attack and brain tumor surgery before being murdered by her. Um, 64-year-old Vera Faye Martin, and she was believed to have been buried alive
oh my gosh.
because they found evidence of that when she was
Oh my
found.
gosh.
78-year-old Betty Palmer, 77-year-old Everson Gilmith, 52-year-old Bert Montoya, and 61-year-old Ruth Monroe.
That's so sad.
Yeah. R.I.P. So her victims were ages 52 to 78. And then Dorothea died at age 82 in prison of natural causes.
Man, she did not deserve that, to live to 70 or 82.
I know. But
That's
at least she
crazy.
was in prison. At least
Yeah.
she was like, but I don't know. When I hear about prison nowadays, it seems like it's not that bad. Did you watch the
Yeah.
Crash documentary?
No, I didn't.
It's this girl goes to prison for murder and I don't know, just I'm like, it's not you guys need even worse punishment than this.
Yeah, they get
But
iPads and stuff now.
Jesus
Like
Christ.
iPads, you get your meals.
Yeah.
But that's just crazy to think she took advantage of such vulnerable people.
And so many of them. I guess she had killed before she was in prison, but it just seems like such a just killing multiple people a year, is wild.
Totally. And the wilder part to me too is the fact that she was highly recommended by people. Because it's like she was doing this all under the radar and people are like, "Oh yeah, go stay with her. Send your family member there. She's great."
Yep. She had this reputation. It's so crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the craziest crime things that have happened in the Sacramento area.
So do you know if people are living in her house now?
They are.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. They have, well, and we'll go see it. I've been there once. They have a little statue, a little fake Dorothy little thing sitting on the front porch. And I think they have maybe crime tape up. They kind of have played into it, and it's kind of a tourist attraction.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
and some
wouldn't wanna live in
people
that
I
house.
know. Oh my god. Oh my god, I'd be so scared.
Yeah,
And I was looking on Reddit to see, like, what people had to say, and some people are like, "It's so disrespectful, and I can't believe they're making a whole joke out of this," but I don't know, I think if they're gonna live there and they wanna try to make light of it and make it into, everyone's gonna be gossiping about it anyway, might as well have the story out
totally.
there, and
I heard at one point it used to do, like, how or be able to do Halloween tours or something. Is that true? Do you know anything about that?
I don't think it's true nowadays because I was
Okay.
looking into if you could go there, but I don't think they do that at this point.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty trippy, though, just living there and definitely it has to take a certain person to wanna live there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I
very odd,
mean
very odd.
no shade on the person living there now.
Yeah, no tea, no shade. So, there was a Yahoo article, like an entertainment article that I read trying to see if there are hauntings there.
Ooh.
I know that Zach Bagans went, and investigated with his team for a Ghost Adventures episode.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I have a couple little clips or just quotes from this article, real quick, about supposed hauntings before we go. One of the quotes says, "The rumors about ghosts roaming the two-story Victorian style home have become so widespread. Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures dedicated an episode to the property in its 13th season, which aired from 2015 to 2016. In the episode, host Zach Bagans discusses the possibility of a ghost with an older woman named Peggy, who at the time of filming was living there in a lower part of the home. She insisted she feels a presence in the room every night while she sleeps,
Ew.
and explains she once awoke to see the ghost of an elderly woman staring and grinning at her." Which,
Like Dorothea?
yeah, but that's creepy and all, but wouldn't you think that the victims would haunt it, not Dorothea?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, like, I would think, like, spirits, if they die somewhere, they might get confused and, like, stay in that place because they're confused and stuck.
Yeah.
But maybe which I pray is the case, that they all had the peace to not stay in that place.
Yeah.
But it sounds like Dorothea may be stuck there.
Maybe she has some lingering energy there, some residual
Yeah.
energy in that place. Bagans and his crew also insisted, this is also a quote from the article, I'm just reading it for verbatim. Bagans and his crew also insisted they encountered a presence from the other side while in Puente's former home. The TV host claimed he was attacked by an unseen force, and others say they feel the presence of both an older woman and a large man in the house.
Oh my gosh. Wonder who the large man is.
I know. One of the victims, I'm sure.
It'll be interesting when we go out there today and you take your app and we see if, you can get anyone to say
I'm
anything.
so excited.
Yeah, me too.
And then I guess one of the people that currently lives there, one of the owners now, she said, this is another quote. She said when they first moved in, a ghost woke her while she slept. She said, "It was a woman I felt, and she had really heavy perfume," she explained.
Weird.
Yeah. So those are the supposed ghosts there. I'm
Interesting.
sure that place is haunted as hell.
Oh, yeah, it has to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of energy that happened there. Wow. It would be interesting, though, to go over there because just now that you've kind of talked about the story too and to know where the room was directly across from and so forth, just seeing it from the outside point of view and knowing it was right there in the backyard. Wow.
Yeah. I wish we could go in the backyard. That'd be
I
crazy.
know, knock on the front door. Excuse me.
Yeah. I'm gonna pause the episode and me and Cassidy are gonna go explore.
Woohoo! Wish us luck.
Okay, we're back.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We had quite the time.
Yeah, that was interesting. It
Mhm.
was kind of cool.
Mhm. We stopped at the Round Corner Tavern
Mhm.
first. That's where Dorothea and Ruth opened the kitchen together at that little bar.
It was eerie in there.
It was eerie in there. It smelled old.
It was heavy. The energy was pretty heavy in there.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best way I could describe it.
It just felt odd. I definitely was thinking there's no, like, positive vibes in there.
Mm-mm. What was interesting is your app that you used, it picked up on it when it was talking about an arm or spirits talking about an arm. which was kind of weird when we got to the next destination.
Mhm. Should I read what the ghost tube said or no? Or should we
Oh,
just
yeah. Read what
Okay.
the ghost tube
Okay.
said. People are gonna wanna know.
Hey guys, this is Annelise during my editing day. Fun fact, I just recorded this whole little clip without the microphone turned on, so that was a waste of time. I just wanted to explain a little bit more about what GhostTube is. I know we keep mentioning it, and it will probably come up in other episodes as well. So I looked up on Google AI, what is GhostTube and how does it work? And it's a free app on your phone that you can download. It's a suite of mobile applications designed for paranormal investigators and enthusiasts. The apps utilize your smartphone's built in sensors like magnetometers and accelerometers to detect environmental changes, which the apps claim to use as triggers to generate words, audio, and visual anomalies. So that's a little bit about the app. I know it sounds a little bit silly, but it's kind of a fun little tool to bring along when you're going to haunted places, and I love the app, it's really fun. Okay, thanks, back to the episode. So I pulled up my GhostTube app, and it just kind of generates words, supposedly from energy from the atmosphere, and when we were at Round Corner Tavern, the words that came up were museum, arm, hers, I'm walking, your hair, let me show you, certainly, forever, why can't I come? You are annoying. I'm confused. And can you repeat? So those are all the words. That's the place where we got like I mean, we were there probably the longest, but where we got the most words coming through.
Mhm. I would say, yeah, that was the most words.
Yeah. And then we went to Dorothea's house. And when we pulled up, there was this guy sitting out in the front, and their house is gated off, but he's like this probably like older-ish, like maybe 50s.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a fun vibe.
Yeah, fun vibe, like beard,
Tie-dye hat.
tie-dye bucket hat, and we went up to see if he would talk to us, and then he ended up talking to us for a while.
Yeah, yeah, he answered a lot of questions
Mhm.
and gave us more information than what we knew before,
Yeah.
surprisingly.
Some of the information he was saying didn't match up to, like, certain things that were in my research, so I wasn't
Mhm.
sure. What do you have to say about it, Cassidy?
Well, I thought it was pretty interesting how, he's like, "Oh, yeah, 5 feet from me is right where the bodies were buried." And it was just crazy to realize, like, it was right there. I was expecting it to be in a backyard, but it was
Same.
just, like, right visible from the street.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was like it was the side of the house.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the side of the house. So, I mean, this woman was burying bodies openly in front of a street. That blew my mind. We did ask him if he's had any experiences living in the house or his parents, and I thought that was interesting when he talked about his parents experiencing some stuff. And
Mhm. He said, his grandmother was this towards the end of her life, was he saying?
yeah, it was towards the grandmother's end of life.
Yeah, so his grandmother was there. She was staying downstairs, and they've had, I guess, multiple psychics come to the house. One of which he said that there's a spirit saying that they were upset that they had to dig their own grave, which is
Yeah.
so crazy. This guy was the son of the couple who owns the house, and he's living downstairs. His parents are living upstairs. And he said that his parents live in the room where Dorothea kept all the bodies. That room that had the double carpet.
Mhm.
So that's their bedroom now.
Which is trippy, like, these people are living in the bedroom, and that's their day-to-day life. One thing I thought was interesting is the ghost tube that we had on at the bar before we went to the house said something randomly, said "arm,"
Mhm.
and then we got to the house, and that guy that we were talking to, his mom does art, and she had an arm displayed in front of
Mhm.
the house.
It was like coming out of
The
something.
pillar, like the
Yeah.
front pillar.
Yeah.
It was just an arm with a hand
Yeah.
with a ring on it.
And I didn't even notice that, and you were like, "Is that an arm?" And I was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god."
that was trippy.
Yeah.
It was just trippy that because I was like, "Oh, I thought that ghost tube thing was just talking randomly."
Mhm.
But then for it to say that and us to show up and there was an arm, I was like, "Dude,
Mm.
that's crazy."
That was crazy. Trying to think of what else he told us.
Hey, we talked about quite a bit.
Yeah, we really
Uh,
did. He
oh,
was
the recipe book.
Oh, yeah, the recipe book. He was so sweet, and he said that they talk to people all the time that walk by the house, and they're used to, like, tourists and stuff, and
Mhm.
yeah, he was very, very sweet.
He was. I was expecting him to be annoyed by our presence, but he
Same.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dorothea had a recipe book, and apparently she had all her recipes in there, which I thought was kinda interesting.
And was it someone who was in prison with her wrote the
Yes.
recipe book?
I think so. I think that's
Okay.
what he was saying, something along those lines.
He pulled that out for us.
Yeah.
For a second, me and Cassidy thought he was gonna let us inside the gate, but because he was like, "Here, I wanna show you guys something," and I thought he was gonna let us inside, but he was showing us some little art, like this little monkey thing in the tree by the house, and we were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah. His mom, like, made a cute little monkey art that was in the
Yeah.
tree. Yeah, that was really cute. But then we went to that other bar. That was kinda interesting. It was another one thing we found that was interesting about all these bars is they're all on the corner.
Yeah.
Like, they're all corner spots.
They were all on the corners. It was the Round Corner Tavern, then we went to Zebra Club,
Mhm.
which we hated.
Yeah.
The
Bad
vibes
vibes.
were, like, actually rancid, and I didn't
Yeah.
like it in there at all.
Me neither. It
And
wasn't
the
welcoming.
Yeah,
It
no, it
was just
wasn't
very
welcoming, dark.
smelled like dust. Like, all these bars smell like I mean, they're old.
And then the last one we drove by Flame Club,
Mhm.
and we just drove by. It was another little tiny dive bar on a corner.
Mhm.
It looked like it was really busy in there, but we didn't go in. But yeah, she seemed to like little corner dive bars.
Yeah, they were just like they're all dark, they're all on the corners. Something about maybe I don't know if it was popping back in the day,
Yeah.
but it was something for people to go, you know, who knows? Maybe it was just an easy place for her to prey on people.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm thinking about how we picked up on kind of dark vibes, and you were talking about the type of clientele that, like, go to these places, and
Yeah.
maybe that's why she went to those types of places, so she could prey on people that were in a vulnerable spot, or,
Mhm.
like, maybe alcoholics, or I don't know, whatever.
Just down on life or
Yeah.
sad. I mean, it definitely seemed sad. Just heavy energy at all of these places.
Yeah,
So, the
totally.
clientele maybe it draws in is not always the most well, given we were in on a Monday night
Yeah.
at 7 p.m.
Yeah, true.
So, but yeah, it's interesting.
Mhm,
And we also heard the history of her life was kind of interesting, knowing that her childhood, she had a lot of trauma.
Oh,
Dorothea.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Cassidy was looking up
Yeah.
Dorothea's childhood.
Yeah.
Seemed terrible,
Yeah.
to say the least.
Not excusing her horrible acts,
Of
though.
course.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
there's no excuse. What else? I'm trying to see if there was any words that came up. Okay, the words that came up when we were at Dorothea's house on my GhostTube app were fool, can you hear, elemental, run now, enemy, hole. Thought it was interesting it said hole. She was
Hmm.
like the digging of the holes.
Hmm.
Do you like me? Question mark. It makes no sense, and sacrifice. Those were the ones that came up while we were at her house. And then they have the house decorated with all of this stuff. They have like a little Dorothea statue and like a police officer next to her
Mhm.
and all these little decorations. And I took a picture of one of the plaques because I really liked it. And I feel like this is a good spot to like wrap it up. And their plaque says, "The people who died here were so much more than merely victims. To think of them only as such gives Dorothea Puente a continued power over them that they don't deserve. She may have ended their lives and taken away their futures, but that should not diminish the memory of the people they were. They were human beings who smiled, laughed, read books, watched movies, wolfed down burgers, and slurped milkshakes. Imagine them as the children they were, the teens experiencing a first kiss, their hair days, good and bad, and bopping their heads to a favorite song. Those things and so much more are who they were, not the evil with which they collided."
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that they made a point
Mhm.
about that because it does seem like a lot of people go there because of what the house is known for, but
Mhm.
to remember the victims for who they were is
Mhm.
the most important.
Yeah. So, yeah, overall, we had such a great day.
Yeah, it was a really interesting day. It gave us a lot of feedback to kind of be in it and
Mhm.
see it for ourselves
Mhm.
and have an idea of where the victims were at or what they may have gone through leading up
Mhm.
to this horrendous act that she
Mhm.
did. But yeah, intriguing.
Yeah, I've got to
Yeah.
feel the vibes and all the locations.
Mhm.
Very cool. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I hope you come on the podcast again.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay, good night, everybody.
Bye.
This podcast is sponsored by me.